Good afternoon, YouTube. It's been a few weeks since I made a video last. Yes, I am still around. I'm at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds here in the south part of downtown Dayton. And yes, this boondoggle has came in the news once again. You know, there's so much stupidity that's taken place around this property. And recently, you know, a few developers were supposed to submit proposals for the fairgrounds redevelopment, and apparently they were shot down. And one of the developers who's been involved in trying to spearhead the project, Miller Valentine Gem or somebody else, they wanted to build 600 apartment units on a 37-acre property and still get retail and a grocery store. That tells you the utter stupidity and the utter lunacy behind their projects. But thankfully, the developments have appeared to have stalled for the time being. You know, plus it is my understanding too that the University of Dayton is also interested in this property now, which that's great if that happens, because then that means it'll be in private hands. There won't be any public money being spent on this, hopefully. And you know, I did a couple videos on this before. It's been about a year or so since I did a video on this, but I believe the biggest obstacle for this development has been the inability to secure a grocery store, a grocery retailer. And you know, and this is the only site that's in the downtown area where there's enough land to actually do it, right at the horse track. If they ever were to get one, this would obviously be where it's at, where it would be at, because the land is flat and it's plenty big enough. But the failures of their inability to secure Kroger's, Myers, or somebody else, it's very overwhelming. So, you know, this should really scream, you know, that all these freaking developments and all these stupidity, you know, that there's no demand for this stuff. That contrary to what city leaders, you know, keep telling us over and over again that there's demand, then why couldn't you secure a grocery retailer? Forget the fucking 600 apartments. That was just pure stupidity. The ultimate goal of this project was to get a grocery store in here, and if UD does move in here, you can kiss those plans goodbye, because there's no room downtown anywhere else but this for a grocery retailer. So there's a lot of dumbasses, you know, that yet clearly need to be called out on this. First, our piece of shit mayor, Nan Whaley. Thankfully, her fucking idol Hillary Clinton lost the election. But anyway, you know, you hear these words, you know, thrown around, you know, in liberal cities like Dayton, inclusive. What residents are failing to freaking understand is, you know, if you were a cheerleader of this project and you're a resident of the city, you don't understand something. They use the word inclusive or include. It wasn't meant to fucking include you. This was meant for a yuppie project that has went bust, and I don't know when they'll try again, or if they're just going to let UD have the property. Now, the project was not meant to include you, so all this, you know, horse shit and all this talk about being inclusive, it's a flat out crock of shit. And you know, and it's funny how one of the developers who is behind this project, Miller Valentine Gem, is the main developer that's spearheading redeveloping the Dayton Arcade. Where are they going to get the money for that if they couldn't even frickin' afford a $20 million development, if they couldn't even fucking secure the necessary, you know, right projects or right redevelopment for this? Because the arcade is going to be into the tens of millions of dollars. I think it's going to be close to $100 million or more to ever redevelop that. And who knows, and to me, that's not going to happen. So to me, I think if the University of Dayton gets this property, it's great. Because flat out, we don't need any public money spent on this boondoggle. They want to move the fair, you know, they're going to find a way to do it. But if UD wants this property, and if the other plans fall apart, I think UD is going to ultimately get this, obviously for student housing and other, you know, things and other, you know, developments, because there's been a couple buildings that UD has wanted to purchase south of here in Oakwood, but the residents have been very opposed to using it for student housing. So it's just, you know, amazing that all these, you know, all these feel-good projects and all this wasteful stupidity has just went bust once again. And you know what? As long as they, you know, keep focusing on stupid shit like building apartments, you know, grocery store, you know, that I'm not so much against. The problem is there is no demand to support it. There's not enough jobs or people that live down here to support it. And besides that, you have a Walmart only about 2 miles from here. So this area is not in near as bad a shape food-wise as they want you to believe it is. You know? So this project just screams more than anything else to me that they couldn't secure Kroger's or Myers or whoever else to move in here. But I think if UD, you know, gets this property, that's great, because anything that takes it off the taxpayer books is great. But there's a few other things I would, you know, say on this video that aren't really popping off to the top of my mind right now, but it's just amazing that all this stupidity and it just trying to drum up all this fake demand. And the thing is, you know, building 600 apartments, where the fuck are they gonna, where the hell would they find the room for parking at here? And they talk about adding more retail. For one thing, you got restaurants a block over from here on Brown Street that are very successful. You got about 15 restaurants. You don't need any more restaurants or retail. There's enough already for this area. So I'm glad to see that this project has went bust, but I'm sure that if UD doesn't commit to buying this, that they're going to try and try again. And please oppose any taxpayer money that is being, you know, proposed, you know, for this property. But anyway, I think I'm going to get ready to wrap it up on this. If I have more to say on this, I'll make another video on this. But needless to say, you know, the project has went bust.